Next up in our Photoshop series is Chromebook Wallpaper. If you're not at school, you'll have to do it on photopea.com, but if you're at school, of course, you'd be doing it with Photoshop. There's a handout posted here, and even if you're at home doing this with Photopea, there's a couple of things to pick up from the handout. Here's the important thing. The size, that's important. You're going to want this document to be 1920 by 1080 because that fits a Chromebook. We're just going to work on making some kind of background for the for that could be used on a Chromebook. You don't really have to use it on a Chromebook, but some kind of background that could be used as wallpaper on a Chromebook. So we've got to have the size 1920 by 1080. Put a little thought into your design, use of Photoshop, or in this case Photopea skills, right? You can use the entire canvas to design because it's not a YouTube canvas or YouTube banner, so it doesn't matter where you put things. You can put things all over the canvas. And wallpaper doesn't have to communicate anything in particular unless you want it to. The thing you try to do with wallpaper is just trying to make it look cool. So it could be like geometric designs, or you could paint something, or really the door is wide open. I'm going to do something like this. This is actually Photoshop that you're looking at right now, but I can demonstrate this really quickly and show you. This would be a good wallpaper, right? PCMS, got the red pride shield on there, some red, some blue, a little drop shadow in there. So I'm going to take a look at how to do that here on Photopea, and I don't think it'll be too hard. So here's an example. Let's go new project. We want 1920 by 1080, which, by the way, you could just type that up here in the width and the height. You could make it 1920 by 1080, but I will tell you right here, if you look at social, I bet it's also on screen. I'll bet. Yes, if you go to screen, it's full HD right there, 1920 by 1080. If you're on social, it also is this FB event image, 1920 by 1080. That works. So it doesn't matter which way you go, right? So social, Facebook event, okay, and we'll click create. There it is. All right, now the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm just going to paint this whole thing red. I'm going to use a pretty big brush. I'll click OK there, and I'm going to make my brush bigger. And I'm just going to take my background and paint it red. Yay. The second thing I'm going to do is make a new layer. We've covered that, but I don't know if you remember it. Way over here on this layers panel, way down at the bottom, there's a little button with a page flipped up, and I'll just click that for new layer. That makes a new layer. On that layer, I'm going to take the rectangular select tool and just make a box. It doesn't really matter how big I make it. I'll show you what I'm going to do with it. I will get a blue color that I think represents plain field, and I'll click OK, and I'm going to paint. Go back to my paintbrush, and I'm going to make that blue. And then I'm going to do a deselect. So really what I did was I just made a blue box on that layer. Now I'm going to free transform this, but I do believe, wow, that's interesting. If I hold the control key, I can kind of skew this thing. And it is acting a little bit different than Photoshop, but I'm going to make it work here. So I'm going to put that kind of down like that, and I'm going to stretch this way over here like that. I'm going to have to zoom out some, so it is acting a little different than Photoshop does. That's kind of too bad, but we'll make it work. I'm going to have to keep zooming out. I'm going to have to zoom way out here to get this to do what I want it to. Holding the control key and stretching this out, it's not really cooperating. Sorry about that. I'm almost there. Almost got what I want. I'm close to what I want. Hold the control. Yay. I pretty much got what I wanted. Boy, that took some work. Sorry about Photopea being that cantankerous, but what I was trying to do there is just kind of deform that blue box and stretch it out so it just kind of angles up right like that. And so I'm going to hit the check mark. I did it. That took a little work. Maybe you don't want to try that. I don't know if you do or not. Control plus to zoom back in. On that particular layer, I'm going to go to the effects button, and I'm going to do a drop shadow. The angle is going to be like this. I want the shadow to fall just kind of sideways, and I bring the opacity up a little bit. I might throw on a little extra spread, a little extra size on the shadow so you see the shadow that I'm getting there. Click OK on that. Hey, not bad, right? Now, I did a little search here for this Red Pride logo, so I'm going to do a right-click, Save Image As, and if you're on your Chromebook, if you do that, right-click, Save Image As, it'll just save on your Chromebook, right? I'll just save it in my Downloads folder. I'm doing this at school, so I'll save it there. And then what I'm going to do back here on, not there, sorry, back here on Photopea, I'm going to open. I'll look at my Downloads folder, and I want to get that shield. Now that's being a little bit it's false information because it said it was a transparent image and it's not. But I'm going to use my quick selection tool, which we've done a lesson on before. Don't know if you remember it or not. But I'm just going to select. I'm using my quick select tool. I'm just going to select all of that with my quick select tool, right? It's right there. Quick selection. Object selection may have worked as well. But I got it. It's all selected. I'm going to copy that, Control C. I'm going to bring it over here and I'm going to paste it, Control V. Allow that. And then I'm going to have to transform that because that's really big, right? So I'm going to have to do a free transform. And because it's big, 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 I'm going to have to move it, size it, move it, size it. Just keep working it. Just keep working it. All right. Check mark. Yay. There's that. Got that. Finish it off here. I might do a type layer. We've done a lesson on type layers. So I click the type tool. Come out here and click once. I get a text layer. It's loading. It's being a little bit slow. Sorry about that. It's really being slow. And I think we made it. And I'm just going to PCMS. And I'll do a check mark on that. And I could make that bigger using the type options, or I could probably just do a free transform with that and stretch it out. And I'm going to rotate it. I'll turn it sideways. And it might be a little bit big now. Perhaps I maybe should have played with the font first, but I'm going to put it over here. Check mark there. And I'll just play a little bit with the font. I'm not going to. What might look good? Oh, no, not that. I don't like that. This looks pretty good. Yeah, that's not bad. It's kind of like Star Wars. What do you know? Free transform that a little bit again now. Got to make the sound effects. I could change that to a white color if I wanted to. Click OK there. I could add some effects to it if I wanted to. This is all stuff really that we've covered before. You know, it kind of depends on where you were when we covered it. We might have done it if you were here at school and we did it in Photoshop. Okay, great. But if, you know what might look cool, there's a little inner shadow with a little angle. I don't want to use global light. Little angle on the shadow, little distance on the shadow. Oh, look at that. Cool. Okay. Click OK when you're happy and you know it. Click OK. Look at that. Didn't take very long. I put together a wallpaper. I could also, if I wanted to, I could come over here to this Red Pride shield and play around with some effects there as well, like a drop shadow or a glow or a stroke or something like that if I wanted to. I did it. I made a thing, right? Now, if you are if you make something you think, hey, I want to really use this as a wallpaper, you would need to do this. You would need to come up here to the File menu on Photopea and do Export As, and either a PNG or a JPEG would work for a wallpaper. That would work for either one. For your Chromebook, either one of those formats would be great. And you could even turn those in for the assignment. If I come along here and I say export a JPEG of what I made, the only difference here is it won't have the layers, right? It's not going to have all the layers and everything. So it's a JPEG and it's the right size, and you can play with the quality, hit save. And if you're doing it on your Chromebook, that will go on your Google Drive. I'm not doing it on a Chromebook, so it went into my Downloads folder. But this is the idea of the assignment today, to put together a little, like a wallpaper that could be used on a Chromebook, 1920 wide by 1080 high. You design it up and do your thing, And then if you're on Photopea, you could save it as a PSD and turn it in. That's fine. It's just that if you're going to want to actually use it as a wallpaper on a Chromebook, it's going to have to be either a PNG or a JPEG, either one, to be able to be used that way. All right, so yeah, give that a shot. See if you can design a little wallpaper that's 1920 by 1080 using what you know. Off you go.